Hi cuties! So today we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna recommend some books to you guys, but not just like, oh, these are my favorites. Like, you've already heard a lot of my favorites, and granted, you may hear some again. Yes, Eliza and her monsters will be in this video. I like Zodiac personality traits. I am not well versed in said traits, so I reached out onto Facebook to find out what are some of the more common traits of said Zodiac. And today I'm going to be giving each Zodiac 3 recommendations, one in sci-fi, one in fantasy, and one in contemporary. Because why the hell not? Again, I am not an expert in Zodiacs at all, but I am an expert in books. I'm just kidding, I'm not an expert in that either. I just think it's kind of fun because I really like, personality tests and things like that, so I wanted to give you some recommendations based on your very own Zodiac. So let's go through the calendar, shall we? First up, we have Aries, the Ram. One of my sisters is an Aries, and yeah, I can see that. The basic traits I got for Aries was that they are leaders, they're confident, they're passionate, and they are angry. Another great phrase I received was that they take no crap nor prisoners. And I'm like, yeah, that's my sister. So the sci-fi recommendation for Aries is Legend by Marie Lu. Legend is more dystopian, but it does have some sci-fi elements into it. It's futuristic, and our main characters are very Aries energy, in my opinion. We have two sides of this kind of dystopian world where you have this really confident, amazing soldier, and you also have this rebel that is causing all kinds of drama. That feels very Aries to me, so I'm gonna recommend Legend by Marie Lu. There's an entire trilogy and a 4th book now, so it's not really a trilogy anymore, but the new book doesn't deal with the main characters that we had in the trilogy. It's the little brother now, so For their fantasy selection, I have chosen Graceling by Kristen Cashore. Especially this first book is very Aries, I feel. Katya, our main character, she has a very interesting gift, which is the gift of murder, or so you think. If that's not Aries, I don't know what is. I feel like she really emulates Aries energy throughout this. She perseveres a lot throughout this. She's very determined. She takes matters into her own hands, and it's just very Aries. Would I say that about the sequels of Fire and Bitter Blue? Probably not, but definitely Graceling. And for your contemporary recommendation, I'm going to recommend Pride by E.B. Zavoy. So Pride is a Pride and Prejudice retelling set in a black neighborhood in New York, if I remember correctly, somewhere in New York. And the new rich family is moving in across the street, and they're all worried they're gonna turn into their entire neighbor into condominiums and basically gentrify it. And I feel like the character of Elizabeth Bennet, even in the original, has some serious Aries energy. She's got that older sister vibe that my sister gives me, and is very smart, witty, and confident, and very assured of their own opinions. And that's kind of the same energy you get from the characters in Pride. So I feel like Aries will probably enjoy Pride a heck of a lot. Moving on to Taurus, the bull. Which is always really funny to me that Taurus is the bull, but they're also seen as like the calmest people, like the laid back, big, loves hugs and food, and that's not what I associate the animal the bull with. The basic traits of a Taurus: they're reliable, they're patient, they are practical, they like gardening, and they're laid back. One of the great phrases that was provided by EJ Lowell, who was a great resource to me in all of these Zodiacs. EJ Lowell also has a book out that you should go check out. I will put the link in the description. He said that if her grimoire contains pictures of cake, she's probably a Taurus. And that's really what I'm basing this on. So for the sci-fi recommendation for Tauruses, I have chosen The Martian by Andy Weir. Why? You might not think that would be a great idea for it, but let me take you a little stroll of the life of Mark Watney. Mark Watney loves gardening and stuff. He is a botanist. That is one of the things of Taurus, is their stereotype of them loving gardening and stuff. He also really enjoys food, even though he has to ration it out, but he figures it out. He's very practical. He's reliable. He's pragmatic about it, but he's also really stubborn. He's gonna do what he's gonna do because it's his life, not yours, and I can figure this out myself kind of attitude. Another quality of Taurus is that they kind of find beauty in everything, and even though Mark Watney is stuck on Mars by himself. He's still finding the humor in things. He's finding ways to keep himself somewhat sane while he lives all on his own on an empty planet trying to survive. And if that doesn't tell you that that is Taurus energy, then that's fine. That's just my opinion. You can have different opinions than me. For the fantasy recommendation for Tauruses, I have chosen The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Again, some people will be like, oh, what now? But this entire book is so magical. It finds all of the intricacies, all the beauty in little tiny things, which is very Taurus. The prose itself, I feel, is very Taurusy. The characters, while they are kind of battling in this, they're making things, they're creating things, they're appreciating the world around them and what they can create with it within the limitations of this circus. And I feel like a Taurus would really enjoy all of the little details that you see in this book, especially with the clock. Like, the clock is iconic. And for their contemporary recommendation, I have chosen Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. You might have thought I would have picked a nice, sweet, and fluffy read for a Taurus, but this is a hard-hitting contemporary, and I think a Taurus will probably enjoy it. The reason for this is because Tauruses don't like change and they don't like insecurity, and our characters that we find in this are dealing with a severe change of a missing friend, and it's her adapting to this new situation, navigating this life without her best friend, and of course there's a huge plot twist in it that is really important and powerful, and I think it'll really snag a Taurus right in their heart. Gemini, the twins, the two-faced shits. I'm just kidding. That's a stereotype. It's actually probably not true. I don't know. Both my parents are Geminis, so this is weird, especially because my parents are such different people. I don't understand Gemini stereotypes because they're just... Geminis are curious, they're adaptable, they're the masters of debate, but they're also indecisive and inconsistent. They have trouble with being confined, they don't like routine, which definitely speaks more to my mom than my dad. So for Gemini's sci-fi recommendation, I am recommending The Disasters by M.K. England. The Disasters, I mean, what more could you say about a Gemini than a disaster? I'm not meaning to throw so much shade, but I feel like maybe if you're a Gemini, you'll be like, yeah, I'm a disaster. It's okay, I am too, I'm just not a Gemini. Don't worry, the roasting of myself is coming up very soon. So The Disasters has a found family, a ragtag group of very different personalities, just struggling so much. They all get kicked out of their fancy sci-fi space academy school, but then there is this massive attack on that school and basically everyone died. Now it's up to them to kind of solve who did this while on the run, adapting to all these different situations and just running amok. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty Gemini. For their fantasy recommendation, I am recommending The Young Elites by Marie Lu. Yes, Marie Lu is on this list twice because she's awesome and is great at writing for Zodiac. So The Young Elites, we have our main character who has the power of illusions, and they end up questioning themselves a lot in this. So they are very inconsistent and very indecisive about their decisions, about their next move, and about how to adapt to the new situations they're presented with. Because it starts out and you think this is going to be a real hero story, but as you go through the trilogy, our main character kind of gets into this role of being the villain, which is an amazing storyline. And I feel like she really embodies what a Gemini is. Not saying that Geminis are villains, but they make good ones. And lastly, for the contemporary recommendation, I am recommending The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Alir Sane. So this story is also kind of harder hitting. It's not really like a romance or anything, but it is the, growing up, coming of age journey of our main character, who's also dealing with a lot of anger issues that he doesn't know where they're coming from. He's going through this new situation in life and trying to figure out what he wants to be and what he's gonna do, but he's just so lost. I feel like the journey of our main character can be highly appreciated by any Gemini who is either going through, puberty or growing up, or has already gone through that, and it will be kind of a nostalgic feel for them to relate with. All right, it's time for Cancers. I'm a Cancer. My sister who I live with is a Cancer. Don't have two Cancers living in the same house together, guys. It's not smart. So Cancers, we're stereotyped as crybabies, which I highly disagree with. Okay, I'm not a crybaby. But we are imaginative, we are loyal, we're kind of the Hufflepuff of the zodiac signs, even though I'm a Slytherin, but I do consider myself a Slitherpuff. We can be sympathetic, we can also be very moody and a little manipulative, very insecure. We have lots of weird hobbies. Hi, how are ya? Another quote from EJ is that they are easygoing on the outside, but internally screaming and like, yeah. So Cancers, here we go with your sci-fi recommendation. I am recommending The Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren James. Our main character in this book is alone on a spaceship. Everyone on the spaceship is dead, and she has been navigating it for a really long time, but in order to keep herself sane, she has these video chats and appointments with a therapist back on Earth, and she also writes fan fiction, and I'm like, yup. She is a romantic. She hears that there's going to be another spaceship coming to meet her, and she's going to finally have someone to talk to, and it turns out to be a guy, and they start emailing each other, and she's just getting swept up in this world of this possible romance where they're going to populate this new world when they finally get there, and then everything goes to hell and everything crashes and burns. So Cancers are really good at like flying high on their imaginations and then just dropping into the depths of despair. It's a very Cancer book, and I really loved it because I'm a Cancer. For the fantasy recommendation, I am recommending Serpent and Dove by Shelby Buren. This also deals with a little bit of a romance, a lot of a romance actually, but it is the story of a witch and a witch hunter who are forced into a marriage. And it's very funny. It has some great humor in it. I feel like the magical imagination of this entire relationship that leads to this, you know, amazing romance between them, but also has some serious drama going on. It just feels like a Cancer would very much love reading this book. I definitely enjoyed it. There are lots of other people who did not enjoy this book, but I'm like, you're not a Cancer. And our contemporary recommendation is a book that I just finished reading, and 100% hands down, this is a Cancer read, and that is Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. This is a gay Grease retelling. What more do I need to say, Cancers? You're gonna love this, trust me. Honestly, like any zodiac sign is gonna love this, but definitely Cancer. We get glimpses into this summer romance, but it's all wrong now because they're at the same school. They didn't intend to be at the same school, and one of them isn't out and has to hide that fact, even though they still have feelings for each other. But it all goes wonky, and it's very dramatic, but it's also very cute and emotional, and you're gonna cry while reading it. I actually cried while reading a book. That doesn't happen very often, but it pulled out that Cancer in me and had them streaking down my face. All the little crabs just streaking down my face. That's what Cancers cry. We cry in crabs. Okay, enough with Cancers, we're done with that. We're moving on to Leos, the drama queens, the attention seekers, the spotlight. I'm sorry, Leos, but you're dramatic and you know it. So Leos are very creative, they're also very humorous, they're generous, but they can be arrogant, they can be a little attention seeking, but they're energizer bunnies, and they also love to stir drama. Harry Potter much? This is where J.K. Rowling went really wrong with Harry Potter, because she didn't portray him good enough as a Leo, but A Very Potter Musical by Star Kid is pure Harry Potter Leo energy. So if you haven't watched those, go watch them. They're amazing. Everything by Star Kid's amazing, honestly. All right. For Leos, your sci-fi recommendation is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. Again, I just read this book, but if it doesn't say Leo, I don't know what does. Because our main character, April May, is a YouTube star, or she becomes one from a viral video after discovering this strange statue that she dubs a Carl, has a fake little drunken interview with it. Not really drunk, but exhaustion drunk interview with the Carl, and then there's all these Carls all over the world, and she was the first one to find it, so she becomes kind of this ambassador for it. She and her friend Andy start up this whole YouTube channel, and they're solving the conspiracies, but a lot of April's character arc is dealing with the fact that now she is front and center, and she likes it, and kind of on this path of, you know, this 15 minutes of fame that goes into many more minutes, and her kind of dark descent into being in the spotlight, growing as a character, and it's just very Leo. For your fantasy recommendation, Leos, I give you Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. Alosa is definitely a Leo. She is confident in herself. She's to the point, a little bit to the point of arrogance. She lets herself get captured onto this enemy ship. She toys with the emotions of her captor because he's starting to fall for her, but they're playing the mind games. They're stirring some drama between each other and the rest of the crew. And she has just such Leo energy of kind of being she's not really an extrovert, but she's good at pretending to be one. This entire adventure story is just so much of something that a Leo would either be or just like to read, so I highly recommend this. It's very quick, so Leos with the attention span issues, it'll be easy to get through. Our contemporary recommendation is A Love-Hate Thing by Whitney D. Grandison. This one has a dual perspective, and one of the characters is more Leo than anything. Our lead female protagonist is very Leo. She likes being in the spotlight. She's comfortable in her body, but we have her relationship with our male character. I'm sorry, I'm literally forgetting like every character's name as I do these reviews, but you'll get it. Our male character has been shot, and now he goes to live with her family, and they used to be friends, but they grew apart. They grew up in very different communities, and they're kind of reconciling that fact and also reconciling their relationship together. The one real Leo part about this is that Leos don't like to be ignored, and that plays a lot into these two characters who are trying to kind of come together, but at the same time little things will set them off and they're not sure why, and then they'll just ignore the other person, but the other person doesn't like that, and it happens kind of back and forth with each other until they finally admit what's going on. So I think these are very Leo characters that can be enjoyed by any Leo anywhere. All right, let's talk about Virgo. Virgos are one of the signs that I'm not very familiar with, except from all that I know about Jenna Marbles, because she's always going on about how she's a Virgo, where Julian's an Aries, and that's really my stereotyping of what a Virgo is. And so that they're very organized, they like cleanliness, they're analytical, they're practical, they're kind of all work and no play. They don't like asking for help, they kind of seek validation a lot, and they don't like rudeness. So Virgo, your sci-fi recommendation is The Supernatural Enhancements by Edgar Cantero. This is a kind of mixed media book, and it's kind of a mystery thriller, which I think Virgos might like mystery thrillers a little more. It does deal with some supernatural elements. It's kind of sci-fi. It's a little borderline fantasy too, but this was the best I could come up with for Virgos. I think Virgos will like the analytical and practical side of one of the characters, and the mixed media I think is also kind of just giving them some clues to solve what's going on. So I think Virgos are problem solvers, and I think they will enjoy that book a lot. I definitely enjoyed it. It was a pretty wild ride and definitely not what I expected it to be, but I think Virgos will really enjoy it. Your fantasy recommendation for Virgo is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. The entire Raven cycle, really. Again, it has this kind of supernatural element where you're trying to figure everything out. The prose is very beautiful, and I think Virgos will have a fun time interpreting that. I feel like Gansey has a lot of Virgo energy. I think he's a combination of other signs, but for a lot of it, because he is this historian researching this dead Welsh king, and he's very analytical of it. He does a lot of research. All the boys speak freaking Latin, so like if any sign is going to be a Latin speaker, it's gonna be Virgo. So I definitely think that the Raven Cycle is a book series that Virgos can enjoy. And for your contemporary recommendation, I recommend Geek Around Cinderella by Ashley Poston. This is a Cinderella retelling, and as we all know, Cinderella is an all work, no play kind of girl, except for that one night she finally gets to party. It's very Virgo energy. So our main character, Ella, I think they actually give her the name of Ella, I can't remember now. Our main character works in a food truck, and that's what she does. She deals with her, you know, evil stepmonster and takes care of everything there. It's very Cinderella. Like, if you know the story of Cinderella, it's pretty easy to figure out. But we also have the other character who our prince is this actor who's getting his big break in a very popular science fiction movie that is based off of the original TV series, very Star Trek-y. Our main female character, her father used to run this very big convention that she no longer can. So it's very appreciative of conventions and cosplay and stuff. And, you know, Virgos are very good. They're very practical. So they're very good at certain crafts like this, about creating costumes and things. So I think Virgos can really appreciate the entire atmosphere of the book, along with relating with the characters and their very Virgo tendencies. All right, time for some Libra, another one that I'm not very confident in. But here's what I got on Libra. Libras are cooperative, they're diplomatic, they're social, but they're indecisive, they self-pity a lot, and they avoid confrontation. They have the best smiles ever, but they're easy to trust, which can be both a good and a bad thing. They don't like violence, they don't like injustice or conformity. They're all about harmony and stuff. That's what I got for Libras. Tell me if I'm wrong. So Libras, your sci-fi recommendation is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. These are little novellas. They're very fast to read, but Binti is a harmonizer. Binti gets into a situation in a spaceship where everybody dies but her, but then she ends up kind of understanding these evil aliens and becoming their, again, another ambassador kind of story. She befriends one of these aliens. She's already kind of ostracized in her own life because she is the only Himba person ever being accepted to this very fancy university. And Himba people are very rooted in the earth. They have this clay that they spread all on their body and their hair, and Binti is called a harmonizer. It's something that they do. I still wasn't really sure what that meant, but it made her an ideal candidate to be this kind of diplomatic ambassador for these aliens and then going back to Earth. And it's a very interesting story, especially for how short it is. It's got a lot of intricate world building going on in it that I think Libras will appreciate. And Libra, your fantasy recommendation is Moon Chosen by PC Cass. The entire Tales of a New World is very Libra energy. We have our main character Mari, who is a moon woman, so she has this power to draw down the moon and heal people. She is a character that takes a bit to grow on you because she starts out having certain prejudices that are not good, but she learns and grows from them and becomes this leader for her people. She's trying to lead them away from danger and get them to a new place where they can start their new life and their new pack, as they call it. We do have a lot of different POVs going on in this story, but Mari feels very Libra. It's a lot about, you know, their relationship with the earth around them, because she's part of a tribe of people called Earthwalkers. They're not a tribe. What are they called? They are a clan. They're a clan, sorry. Tribe is the Sun tribe. They all have different terminology for groups in this one. They are a clan, and they actually, you know, join up with the Sun Warrior tribe, and they create this new community, just blending all of these new personalities and new powers, and it's very beautifully told, and I really enjoyed it. So I think Libras will like it too. And Libra, your contemporary recommendation is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This is gonna be a little controversial because a lot of this book deals with conflict, but it's planned conflict, which I think is the only kind of conflict Libras can handle if they agree to participate in this. So we have two characters who both run their respective families' companies' Twitter feeds. They're both in this restaurant world, and our main boy, Jack, he has a family with a small grandma's home sandwiches kind of restaurant, and Pepper has a family who is this mogul for this big chain restaurant, and they are accused of stealing the grilled cheese recipe from the small mom and pop shop. and it leads into a Twitter battle. Both characters discover they are the ones on the other side of this Twitter battle, but instead of freaking out over it, they go, okay, game on. And they create this conflict, but also get into this friendship, which leads to this romance, and it's very cute, and I feel like Libras can really appreciate it. Okay, I know a lot of people were probably waiting for this zodiac sign, but we are at the Scorpios, the bitches. I'm just kidding. I don't know, I feel like Scorpios really embrace the bitchiness of their sign. Scorpios are resourceful, they're stubborn, they're passionate, they're shits. They can be very secretive. They can get very jealous. They can get a little violent. They're kind of, you know, the danger sign. They're all about facts. They don't like dishonesty. They will tell you like it is. I really like Scorpios, actually. I think they're one of the most interesting signs out there. And I always wished I was a Scorpio instead of a freaking Cancer. So Scorpios, your sci-fi recommendation is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is such a Scorpio book series entirely. We get all these different characters, but their entire story arc is just like, that is a Scorpio attitude. They go out there, they do what they want, they take on this evil AI, and they take on terrorists, and they take on evil governments, and they're being very secretive about everything. They all have kind of their own agendas that blend together really nicely in this entire trilogy. They don't like dishonesty, they like the truth. So the entire arc of the Illuminae files is revealing the truth of this evil, you know, overlord government on the whole universe, I guess, or the galaxy. And it's just, yeah, Scorpio rebellion is what this is all about. Speaking of that, your fantasy recommendation is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Again, all about that rebellion, all about the secrets and the spying and everyone has their own agenda. Six of Crows is very much that, even with the found family aspect of it. It works so well for Scorpio attitudes. They are fearless, they don't give a fuck, they're just gonna go at this, and they may screw up occasionally, but they're gonna adapt to that, figure it out, and fuck you up. That's what's gonna happen. Six of Crows is like the epitome of a Scorpio book, in my opinion. And Scorpio, your contemporary series is another very dark and hard-hitting one, but that is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. This is a story, it has 3 different POVs in this, and our main POV is a girl who is just hands down Scorpio. She has some social anxiety and doesn't really have a lot of friends. She relates more with animals than anything, and I feel like, yeah, Scorpios are definitely animals over people any day. She has a great respect for animals, and especially for female animals, because they're always the stronger of the species usually. Females are usually bigger and stronger and more ferocious in the animal kingdom, and that's what she really embodies for herself as well. So it's a very interesting story arc, but I feel like as a contemporary, this works really well for Scorpio. Sagittarius. This is the sign I know the least about. What are you, Sagittarius? I guess, well, my best friend is a Sagittarius, so I should probably know more. So Sagittariuses, they are idealistic, they are humorous, they're prone to some empty promises, they like to have freedom, they like travel and the outdoors, they don't like clingy people, they don't like to feel constrained. So Sagittarius, your sci-fi recommendation is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe by Douglas Adams. An iconic read, but I feel like from what I know now of Sagittarius, this works out. It has some amazing humor, it's kind of all over the place, and that feels like a very Sagittarius thing, to be all over the place. It's very creative and very different than anything else, and if a Sagittarius is going to be anything, it's going to be different. And your fantasy read, Sagittarius, is Now Entering Adamsville by Francesca Zappia. Yes, she's going to be on this list twice as well. So Now Entering Adamsville features an ace protagonist who goes out and kills these evil demons while also dealing with the fact that the entire town is pretty much against her and her entire family, but she does go around in the middle of the night fixing people's repairs on their houses because she's, you know, trying to make amends for the crap that her father did and ruined their entire reputation. She likes to work on her own. She's not a fan of friendships, and she doesn't like the clinginess. She's very ace. She even says in one of the lines is, "I'm too ace for this," and I'm like, Am I a Sagittarius now? I relate hard to that. But overall, I think Now Entering Adamsville is a very Sagittarius book. And Sagittarius, your contemporary recommendation is A Date with Darcy by Tiffany Schmidt, the first book in Bookish Boyfriends. I haven't read the second one, so I can't know if I should recommend it to you. This plays a lot to the idealism of a Sagittarius. Our main character loves to read. She gets swept up in a lot of classic romances and romance novels. She thinks she's in this whirlwind romance with her Romeo, but lo and behold, that kind of goes to hell because he is so clingy, and it's step back, dude, step back. But it's also a Pride and Prejudice retelling as well. And it's very interesting arc of our main character, of Mary Lee. She is a very Sagittarius person, I feel like. So that is why you get this contemporary recommendation, Sagittarius. Capricorn! The only thing I know about Capricorns is that Sporty Spice is a Capricorn. But they are responsible, they are disciplined, have good manners, but they can be a know-it-all. They're also fairly unforgiving. They like tradition. They are a get shit done sign. And based on that knowledge, I recommend to you your sci-fi recommendation of Ready Player One by Ernie Cline. Ready Player One is a get shit done kind of character, a very know-it-all character. The whole purpose of his character is to know literally everything about the creator of this oasis, this big giant virtual reality world that he lives in. It's the whole point, is to know everything so that you can get through the secret challenges and get all the keys and win the big competition that's been going on since the creator died. Oh, if that doesn't say Capricorn, I don't know what does. Your fantasy recommendation is The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. Again, a very get shit done character. Rin just goes out there, she chops up these bone houses, she's taking care of her family, she's gonna run this graveyard, she's gonna help this guy, random dude, find this mythical castle that's hidden in the woods. But yeah, the bone houses are there, but doesn't matter, she's got an axe and a bone goat. She's not gonna put up with your shit. Capricorn pile drives through this whole thing and she's gonna solve it. Get her done kind of girl. So bone houses, very Capricorn. And so Capricorn, your contemporary recommendation is Screen Queens by Lori Goldstein. This is about some girls who go into this big computer competition where they have to design an app, and if they win, they will basically get all of their dream jobs or recommendations that they need for their futures in app development and in the world of computer science and stuff. I've kind of forgotten what it is, but it's in like Silicon Valley or something. But they're very different personalities, but when you combine them together, they end up working well. They all have their own get done tasks. So we have our main leader, who is a little Aries as well, but she's also very Capricorn in that she's the planner. She's gonna get this stuff done. We have the programmer who is like, all right, I'm programming it, we've got this done. And your designer who is a kind of perfectionist. They all have very different personality types, but together they make the ultimate Capricorn. And it's also a, you know, stomp on the patriarchies type of book. It's just very fun contemporary read that I think it just embodies what a Capricorn is. All right, it's time for Aquarius. One moment. The age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius. I'm sorry, I can't not say the word Aquarius without breaking out into hair. Like Aquariuses are the Aquariusi. I feel like Aquarius people are like the weirdos of the Zodiac. They're the unique ones. They're progressive, they're original, they kind of walk to the beat of their own drum, or if it's not even a drum, it's probably something else really weird, like, I don't know, a hurdy-gurdy or something. But they're also wise, they're a little fearful, they're intuitive, and that is why your sci-fi recommendation is an indie book. You're original, you're outside of the mainstream, and you're gonna get The Hands We're Given by O.E. Tierman, which is the first book in the Aces High trilogy. This is such a good book. I can't wait to read the rest of it. You deal with very unique characters, very unique perspectives that are not often shown. Our main character, who is a commander in the military, is trans and goes to this kind of rebel rousing base of misfits in their command. It has to kind of rope them together and get them back in shape as a functioning unit, or else it's going to get disbanded. But you have all these different clashing personalities, but of course they all kind of come together as one, and it's just a really beautiful story. Our commander has kind of butterfly feelings for the logistics officer who is gay. It's just so freaking cute in that sense, but at the same time you have this big world going on, and there's big world building happening, and it's just so different from anything that I've read before that it's Aquarius. Speaking of being really different than anything I've read before, your fantasy recommendation, Aquarius, is The Diviners by Libra. This is a historical, paranormal, found family, superhero-esque story set in the 1920s, and you get such a wide berth of characters. It's just the epitome of being different and bringing together all of these minorities in a time where prejudice and racism and sexism and homophobia and stuff is very prevalent. Get your main underdog characters. They've all got these kind of special gifts, and it's up to them to save everything and save the world against crazy stuff going on. Like, it's intense, and I highly recommend it. I don't think there's a really good way to explain what The Diviners is. You just have to read it and trust in the whole story, trust in Libra. She presents such a great imaginative story with amazing characters that you will cling on to. And Aquarius, your contemporary recommendation is Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. This is a story of a girl who is brought up by a very feminist woman who was kind of in the pop punk feminist movement back in, I think, the 80s, the 70s or 80s, I'm not sure, who used to write these zines, and she gets very into it because she's very angry about how her school is running and treating girls, especially in like the dress code and stuff, and letting the guys in her school get away with making really sexist jokes, being very offensive, but never getting in trouble for it. So she takes a stand. And this is the thing for Aquarius, is that they're very motivated by taking a stand against that conformity. And the thing about Aquarius is they're anti-conformity. They're their own type of person, and I think that our character in Moxie is very Aquarius in this, in that she's just different. She's doing things differently. She's spreading the word with these zines that people mistake for other kinds of things. That kind of annoys her, but I feel like she is a very Aquarius character. I think this book just has a really good story behind it that, while we know about it now, I think it still presents good perspectives on something that's still going on. So it's an Aquarius book. We're at the last sign. We've got some Pisces. I know one Pisces that I can confirm is a Pisces. Wait, maybe I know two Pisces. But from what I know of Pisces, they are artistic, intuitive, compassionate. They're very introspective. They're kind of the anti-Scorpio. And with that being said, your sci-fi recommendation is All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. This is a story about a witch and a mad scientist who are best friends. They have such an interesting journey in this story that I feel like is really appreciative of Pisces, because Pisces are these two fish. It's kind of this dual sign again, kind of similar to how Gemini is a dual-sided sign, and that's where I feel like you get this with our witch and our mad scientist, who are both fighting for their causes. They're both very imaginative in both the science and the magic, so it kind of plays to both sides of what a Pisces can be like. Pisces, your fantasy recommendation is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. This is a retelling of Der Erlkönig, which is also very similar to Labyrinth with David Bowie, who's, you know, the Goblin King. Der Erlkönig is a Goblin King, and our main character is very artistic as well. She's a music composer. She's very intuitive, but she really believes in this Goblin King. When her sister gets kidnapped by Der Erlkönig, she has to go save her, trades places, and gets wrapped up in this very beautiful, imaginative world. It's covered in music, and it's just so beautifully done. I really appreciate it, but it's a very Pisces read, because you have this character who wants to stay here, who wants to, you know, make make this beautiful music and stuff, but also has these responsibilities up above, and she can't stay there forever or her passion, her fire will burn out. Just this beautiful, beautiful, not only a kind of love story, but a story of becoming one's own and really taking your life into your own hands. And Pisces, your contemporary recommendation is, yes, Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. I told you it was gonna be on this list. Eliza is a character who suffers from severe social anxiety, but she is very artistic and has created one of the most popular webcomics in the world, and no one knows it is her. She likes to keep that secret to herself, but of course, the secret's gonna get out eventually. But she meets this other guy who also has some social anxiety, and they form this very cute relationship because he's actually like the lead fan fiction writer for her webcomic, and he loves her artwork that she does eventually show him, but doesn't put together that she's the creator. And it builds into this beautiful, beautiful relationship that, of course, has much darker undertones of what's going on. It's just so well written in its portrayal of social anxiety that I think it's really important for people to read this book. And yes, I will recommend this book until the day I die. Okay? Nothing can make me hate this book ever because it is so beautiful and very Pisces. So there you have it. Those are my zodiac recommendations for what each sign should be reading. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below, or if you have other recommendations that you think will fit different zodiac. I had a lot of fun making this. I really appreciate everybody who helped me out on the internet by giving me their opinions of all of these zodiacs. These are all very stereotypical, as you know. If you don't fit your zodiac, that's okay. I definitely don't feel like I fit my zodiac all the way. It's not an exact science, but it is super fun, and I thoroughly enjoy playing around with the idea of zodiacs and zodiac personalities. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did and you want to see me continue to make good content and stuff, go to my Ko-fi link, and if you can, oblige me by buying me a hot chocolate. It's only a $3 donation. I also have commissions open that you can check out and get me to do stuff for an exchange of that donation. Check it out. I appreciate it. And of course, you guys can always reach me down in the comments below or on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. And I'll see you next time, cuties. Bye!